Salams, Namaste, Vanakkam and Sawubona. You're watching another edition of Tabloid Talk, broadcasting from our Durban North studios where we deal with issues that matter. I am Mohammed Ismail. Before we continue, do not forget to like our Tabloid TV Facebook page and follow us on YouTube. Click the bell icon to subscribe for regular updates. This week's competition is a superb one. Win a romantic getaway for two to Saint Lemire to the south coast. Yes, you heard right. And there is nothing more romantic like a Mediterranean feel weekend away. This competition is exclusive to our YouTube subscribers. To qualify, simply hit the bell icon to subscribe and then tell us why should you and your partner win this fabulous prize. The competition closes on 31 October, so get your entries in quickly. Human trafficking. How often have we heard this phrase? It sends shivers down the spines of many. Lately in South Africa, campaigns dealing with this issue have increased notably after the attempt by a man in Johannesburg to grab a child from an eatery. Why are people trafficked? How lucrative is this market? And where do victims end up? In essence, human trafficking in South Africa occurs as a practice of forced labor and commercial sexual exploitation among imported and exported trafficked men, women and children. South Africa experiences all of these. It is an active hub for human trafficking. In today's Tabloid Talk, we unpack these issues with Lynne Peters from the Umgeni Community Empowerment Centre. The centre is vociferous in their awareness campaigns around human trafficking, gender-based violence and drug abuse, among other issues. It is a centre that also provides counselling and support for victims of such crimes. And it's competition time once again on Tabloid Talk. The big announcement that you have been waiting for, the winner of our Jayshrees Rivaz competition. And the lucky person is Pranola Govender. Yes, well done. Don't forget that the Nando's competition is still running hot until the end of October. All you have to do is tell us about your Nando's curbside experience. And the other big competition for this week is a two-night getaway to Saint Lemire. The prize is valued at more than 2,500 Rand. What could be better than to relieve the stress, unwind and romance on the South Coast after a very long COVID lockdown? It is simple to enter. All you have to do is tell us why should you and your partner win this prize. The competition closes on the 31st of October. Both competitions are exclusive to YouTube subscribers. Entry only in the comment section below on YouTube, so like the channel and subscribe. Keep watching. We will be right back with our interview on human trafficking. Welcome back to Tabloid Talk with me, Mohammed Ismail, your host from our Durban studios. Human trafficking exists around the world, and South Africa is among the countries that seem to be a fertile picking ground for this inhumane crime. While there might not be statistical evidence to overtly support this, on today's show we unpack the seriousness of human trafficking and the impact it has on people's lives, not only in South Africa but throughout the world. I'm chatting to Lynne Peters from the Umgeni Community Empowerment Centre that deals with human trafficking, women and child abuse, and drug rehabilitation, among other things. Lynne, welcome to the show and thank you for making the time.
Thank you for having me, Mohammed.
Now, human trafficking, it's a serious thing. We've heard it, we've seen it on TV, we've watched it in movies, and it's very, very prevalent, I think, in our communities and in our societies. How fertile is South Africa as a picking ground for human traffickers?
So South Africa is considered to be one of the 10 most prevalent countries for human trafficking, which is a very high statistics if you consider how many countries there are in the world. And the problem with statistics and how much of it is happening in South Africa is that because we don't know the extent of the problem, statistics are not very reliable. And so while human trafficking in South Africa is absolutely rife and becoming more of a problem, the larger population is very much unaware of it because we don't have proper reporting or even prosecuted cases.
Why are there no statistics?
The problem is that human trafficking is considered a very specific crime. And so what happens is it can actually fall under a whole lot of other crimes, in which case the statistics of human trafficking is then missed. But more importantly, very little is being done to actually stop human trafficking. It has been perpetuated in South Africa for a very long time, and largely has gone unnoticed and flourished. And so we're finding very little evidence of crimes for human trafficking being prosecuted. However, there is a lot more incidences of traffickers out there, people going missing, and the fear is real.
That would tell me that the government is not doing much or not taking this seriously, even though they might be. So the safety and security agencies, from your experience and your campaigning, what are they doing about it then in essence?
So from about 2013, when they actually introduced a law of trafficking persons where it was illegal to adopt a child, because that's what the law says, adopt a child for the purposes of abuse or exploitation, or force a woman into marriage, and again for the purposes of abuses. So that law was passed in 2013 when it became clear that South Africa had to actually do something about trafficking, as there were cases coming up that had to be explored and were not just being pushed under the carpet. So we brought that law in, but because of a lot of factors, and I'm sure everybody knows most of what they are, the crime just never, even though the law was set in place, there was not a lot of arrests, there was not a lot of mention made about human trafficking and all the rest of it. The government now is in a position where they actually have to look at human trafficking. A lot of noise has been made. But more than that, South Africa is one of the countries that a report is done by the US Department of State, where different countries are put onto different tiers. So a tier 2 country is a country that has got high levels of human trafficking, but they are doing something in combating it. And a tier 3 country is a country that has got high human trafficking incidences, but the country is doing nothing about it. Currently, South Africa, at the last time that I heard, was on a level 3 tier.
Yeah, well, that's shocking.
And working towards getting
higher. But it's money above everything else, and human trafficking is probably a multi-billion-dollar industry, if we want to call it that. What are the figures running into for one, and who are the people behind human trafficking? Which are the countries that people who are trafficked are taken to?
Okay, so human trafficking, and again, the estimations are completely out. A couple of years ago, it was a 350 billion USD dollar industry. It's currently set to between 5 and 42 billion USD, which is still a large amount of money. It is considered second only to arms deals, but also related to arms deals, because you must understand human trafficking is a very integral part of drug trafficking, arms deals. It all goes hand in hand. Prostitution, it all goes hand in hand, but really behind the scenes. The countries that are most prevalent for human trafficking are countries like Brazil, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India. India particularly has a large problem with traffickers, where traffickers target orphans and women for abuse in all sorts of various forms.
But a lot of those children, Lynne, are taken for child labor, and there was a campaign before to say that if you're getting products from these particular countries, you need to ensure that it's not made in factories where children are employed. And just to take it a little bit further, just if I'm a human trafficker and then I come to you and I want a particular child, how much money are you going to ask me to traffic that child?
Varies depending on country to country. In South Africa, I think the going rate is between 15,000 and 30,000 a child.
Is that rands or dollars?
Rands. This is for South Africa.
Okay.
Other countries it might vary. It might be lower, because depending on the level of exploitation, the social, economic situation of the country, the level of drugs that are in the country, because all of these have factors over why somebody would become a victim to human trafficking. So yes, from country to country it varies. If you're going to somewhere like Brazil, the amount paid for a child would be lower, because of the poverty situation. In India, it would be even lower because they can just go to one of the places where you find a lot of orphans, because you know there's a lot of kids on the streets in India that are begging for some reason or not, and get children that way.
Women and children are the main targets.
So no, yes, they are the main targets.
And what age group, sorry to interrupt,
Okay.
what age group also?
So they say that it is between the ages of 16 to 35, because a human being from the age of 16 to 35 is a very workable commodity, if you'd like, because that's really how human traffickers look at it. So the age is between 16 to 35, and while women and children obviously are more victims, because you know they can be used as slave labor, they can be used for sex trafficking, they can be used in so many different formats. Men and boys have also gone missing. Boys particularly, because we have so much pedophilia going on. And so there's a thing called the dark web, and these kids are actually sold on the dark web. But in South Africa, interestingly enough, I just heard a story the other day that we have got auctions going on in places like, and I know you've just seen the arrests in Rustenburg, but places like Rustenburg, the little dorpies, if you like, children and women are being auctioned at an auction. I mean, can you even imagine that?
Wow. Wow, I don't have I can't really. But tell me, in terms of, look, we've been in a lockdown now. We've been locked down level 5. We're in lockdown now level 1. COVID-19 has stopped everything. Did human trafficking stop?
Initially, I think it slowed it down a little bit with the locking down of the borders. Yes, it did slow it down a little bit. But what happened was, and as we have corruption in our country, and you did ask me in a previous question, you said, who are human traffickers? Well, they are very big, powerful, important, connected people, which is why there's been such a bag on human trafficking for so long. The rot goes all the way to the top. So we can't profile a human trafficker as the guy in the street who has got bling on and, you know, gold teeth. No. It could be the businessman living next door to you that is, his business is human trafficking. So while it slowed it down for just a little bit, and because of COVID and the fear of COVID, obviously, it actually then had the opposite effect of mushrooming, because it was so much easier with the social economic situation of South Africa, where people were desperate for work and to get food. It was much easier to take victims and transport them.
I would assume there's a lot of corruption, a lot of bribery going on around the borders when it comes to take these kids out. If you have those corrupt officials, the women, children, men, boys are going to go through.
Absolutely.
If you're unlucky, you're going to get caught.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
it goes back to money again, and whoever gets paid off. Would that be the right thing to say?
Money is the vehicle. Money is the vehicle that moves human traffickers. Money, greed, lust, you name it. So it's very easy in South Africa to get away with being a human trafficker. We have very brazen traffickers who have got policemen in their pockets. You know, our problem is so large. I mean, in every single sector of our country, we have some form of corruption. Trying to get policemen to actually assist in any kind of case is hard. And the reasons for that is there's a lot of corruption, as we are seeing with all the arrests that are happening. But those policemen who are good policemen and who have become policemen for the reasons of actually protecting people, they're fighting internally as well as externally, so they're becoming very discouraged. And then the ones who are saying, well, we're not going to give up, are so overloaded that it is really difficult when you have a case to get a policeman to come alongside you.
Your organization, how many cases have you guys had recently or in the last year or 2 years and dealing with these issues? Have there been rescues?
We have had rescues over the years, very few human trafficking rescuers. In the past, we've had to actually kidnap them out of the kidnapping ring because it was just so bad. We've had successes. I'm sure that we've had over 100 cases. Now that sounds very little if you think about the fact that we've been in operation for 17 years. But the point is that it has been mushrooming, but there is very little reporting of it. So the fear and the reason why UCEC is so adamant about bringing awareness is that there are so many victims trapped. Currently estimated worldwide, 40.3 billion people are modern day slaves.
That's a phenomenal figure.
Absolutely, and 1.3 million of those are children. So while I can't give you stats for South Africa, there's a guesstimation of how many people are in modern day slavery at the moment. 1.3 billion children going missing. How many of them are from South Africa? You know, there's talks of 30,000 children coming into South Africa as slaves. Can you imagine that? Did we even know about that? We didn't know about that. That's children coming in from other countries, because South Africa is a destination and an origin. So people are recruited from South Africa, but also sent over, and people from other countries are recruited and sent. So we're an origin and destination country.
Wow. You guys have been doing a lot of awareness campaigns of late, and I've been following some of that. People come out and they join the protests and everything else. Does it just become talk shop for these people, or are communities really taking heed of human trafficking? Does it take for somebody in your own family to be trafficked before you really say something, or are people really genuinely concerned about this?
There are very few and far between that are concerned about it. And yes, it does take someone being in your own family being trafficked before they're taking notice. You know, it's no fun for us to be at Ushaka when everybody's wanting to take their families out and handing out pamphlets and saying, beware of human traffickers. It's an absolute buzzkill. The point is, it's happening. People, we sometimes even get abused for telling them to be aware of their children being taken. The point is, people don't want to see, you know, with so many problems going on, they just want to live. However, we cannot do that for very much longer. We've been campaigning and lobbying actively with the walk for the last 7 years. Only when Siani went missing and Megalo went missing did people actually sit up and say, hey, wait a minute, something's going on here. Then people rally around and talks are being done, but it's too little, too late. If even one child goes missing, it's too little, too late.
Absolutely.
And that's apart from all the other thousands of children that have gone missing. We know news media has happened around them. So yes, no, our communities are not aware, they're not interested. There's a general lackadaisy when it comes to human trafficking. I'll look after my own and, you know, we'll sort ourselves out and we don't need you around it. But that has to stop.
But networking does work indeed.
Absolutely.
Social media can be an advantage and it can be a huge disadvantage. How has it helped you, or how has it been to your organization or human trafficking's disadvantage? Because misinformation just comes through like anything. Before you even do something is already on social media, so that's a threat in itself.
Absolutely. So to sensationalize things that are not real is a real problem. It leads things to spokesperson, police spokesmen people coming in saying there's no problem with human trafficking in South Africa because of all the false information that goes on. It's not helpful. We've considered that perhaps that's a strategy that human traffickers actually use to divert the focus of people. You know, when people are panicked and they're sending around messages and they're sending this one there and they actually take the focus of where the real problem is happening. So it's not helpful to not check out news that's coming that is false. It's not helpful at all. It just makes our life really difficult.
We haven't seen much stories in the media about human traffickers being arrested or jailed or sentenced or whatever it is. There's not much coming. Are they being arrested, or are they just walking free?
We've had a case now where a group of 3 bed and breakfasts were arrested.
Right here in Durban?
Right. No, this was in Rustenburg. This was almost 2 weeks ago. I think 5 traffickers were arrested. And so I'm holding my breath and seeing if they are going to be prosecuted. But no, I think if 5 cases were prosecuted over the last year or so, then I think that would be a lot.
Just a quick roundup, we're almost out of time. Warning signs. How do people stay safe from human traffickers? What should you look out for? Because I do understand that you can be easily enticed to say, we've got a job interview here, please come here, and then suddenly you're kidnapped and you end up in Brazil. So what are the warning signs that we should really be cognizant of?
Okay. Always Google the company that, if you're going for a job interview, Google where you are going. Make sure that it's in an area where it's well lit. There are a lot of people going around, not dark buildings. Make sure that you take someone with you, especially if you're a young woman. Let everybody know where you are going. Phone the numbers. Do a little bit of homework if you're going to a company for an interview. If you're meeting somebody for coffee, make sure that somebody's sitting close by, that you're not alone. It's all about it's about having people know where you are at all times, your phone's on. Also, don't be gullible. You know, if it sounds too good to be true, the rule is it usually is. Don't engage strangers. If a stranger comes up to you and says, especially if you're a young girl, oh, you're beautiful, I can give you a modeling contract, go home, think about it, do your homework, ask around, ask him for testimonials, reviews, that sort of thing. Do not take money from strangers. This is the way that they get you bonded. Do not, even if it's your neighbor, make sure that you know what you're getting into. You know, this is not just the man on the street, this could be your neighbor as well. You know, be aware of your surroundings. Make sure that you take notice of things around you. Train yourself to notice car registration numbers, color of cars. Make sure that you know what your family's wearing. Are they wearing what they're wearing today? What did they go out with? What were they carrying? These are it's very important information to know how to, if anything happens, to know how to get the message out about what they were wearing. Have a safe word if you have a family. You know, there must be a safe word. If I phone you and you're in trouble, there's a safe word that can blend into a sentence, but if you say that word, I know you're in trouble. You know, as a family, sit down, talk to each other about the dangers that are out there. You know, have conversations with your children. I know some of the children can be very rebellious at the moment. If you don't believe me, show them video clips. You know, have those conversations. Particularly for young girls, beware of their boyfriends. Traffickers have got a lot of time and a lot of money, and they will groom them for more than 6 months to a year before they actually get them hooked on drugs. Know who your child is dating. Know the social media sites that they're going on. Watch the pictures that are being put on social media.
Okay, Lynne, thank you very much for your time. I think we've separated fact from fiction. We know the warning signs, and we've, I think, really touched on a lot of the issues that people need to know. Human trafficking, modern day slavery, that's what it's all about. Thank you very much for watching, but please don't go away. We'll be right back with a conclusion and more about our competition. Do not take human trafficking lightly. It is a serious crime as any. Do not become a statistic. Know the warning signs and always remain alert. If you know anyone that might be involved in human trafficking, call the SAPS Crime Stop number on 08600 10111 or the Human Trafficking Hotline on 0800 222 777. Thank you for watching us on Facebook and YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe. I am your host, Mohammed Ismail, and we'll be back soon. Thank you.